Welcome to another... I'm already screwing up the first word. Welcome to another Jacob Wayne Show podcast. As usual, I have the lovely and sensual Kellen Gibbons with me. But today is a very special episode. Not only do we have the returning champion of Neil Hansen, we have the mythical Shocky in our midst.
Hello.
Where? Ah, there he is.
Oh. Well, he's in the background. You're like, wait a minute, why do I not get his sexiness right up in my ear holes yet? And you will. So just take it easy. Keep those panties on. He's in the background right now playing Cyberpunk 2077. We're reviewing in real time, recorded now, live, but not live for you when you're listening.
But it's
so it's going to be great.
Yeah, well, I've never heard that before. Breaking new ground.
Mm-hmm. Brand new. I figured we had to stand out from the pack of podcasts and YouTube shows that do video game reviews and all that. And video games are very near and dear to my heart, but at the exact same time, probably not anywhere near as much as some other people. And there's a lot I don't know. So I figured we could kind of make this episode today just all video gaming, and we could just really discuss that kind of stuff.
Yay.
Before we get started on that, I figured we could do what we're drinking at the beginning of the show. So if you're listening along, you can crack one open yourself. And we'll get going on video game stuff. What are you drinking today, Kellen?
Well, right now I have an old favorite from Odell Brewing. I got the Mercenary, the double IPA. It's fantastic.
Double IPA Mercenary. How about you, Neil?
I picked up this Pono Life from Maui Brewing. It's a hazy IPA with Lily Koi.
Lily Koi?
Yeah.
What's that?
I'm not entirely sure. I've had some other beer with it before. But it's a nice little kind of sort of floral, fruity, nice flavor. Easy drinking.
Is it kind of like a hibiscus sort of thing or something?
Yeah, sort of. A little different flavor, but kind of a similar thing. Going like a tropical-y kind of flavor.
It's either a flower or a fish.
I think it's a flower.
It can be both on that magical island.
Yeah.
Shocky, what are you drinking over there?
I am drinking Enjoy By 010121.
Oh, from Stone Brewing.
Yeah.
Stone. Indeed.
What is that? It's a stout or an IPA? Or?
It's an unfiltered IPA. That's kind of why it has an expiration date.
What's the expiration date?
010121.
Oh, well, there you go.
You got time.
Yep. And I'm just enjoying a Ninkasi Brewing Company Slayer, but like Santa Sleigh.
Yay.
It's a winter ale, seasonal release. We had a mutual buddy kind of gift us some beer recently and gave us some of that. So I'm not usually a winter ale type of guy, but I am tonight.
I got one of those in my fridge. 'Tis the season.
Slayer. All right, so before we get into the video gaming, what's the week been like? How is it over there in Utah?
Snowy.
Yeah, it just started snowing. A bunch.
It just hasn't stopped like all day today.
Yeah.
It was supposed to start like late in the afternoon, and it started like at noon and just kept going.
Started
So
earlier.
just kind of been. Oh,
Sorry, yeah, I started earlier at my house. It was like 10 a.m. or so. I was here
Oh,
because we
dang.
were loading up the truck to take stuff down to the DI.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird storms. And the weather service has been off a lot. They've been like late in their prediction. Like I got a weather alert one day. It was like our winter weather advisory that was for like this afternoon is now scheduled for now. It's happening
inside.
currently.
There was a tiny little bit of interesting bit in there that I don't know if it would stand out to people as much, but you said we're going to take our stuff down to the DI. What
Yeah.
is the DI?
The Deseret Industries.
Yes,
The
it's kind of
more-
like the Goodwill of Utah.
Yeah.
Of Mormons.
Go give them a bunch of your stuff for free, and then they sell it for money.
Mm-hmm. And as far as I know, it's pretty much just exactly like Goodwill.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I went up to Seattle when I was living there, and people are like, let's go to the Goodwill and find you some blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, yeah, now I know. So DI, I think, is a unique little Utah thing. Just figured I'd throw that in there.
It is, yeah, in this area.
Yeah, it's kind of
But,
weird. We don't have like any of the Salvation Army or the Goodwill or anything like that. There is another local chain here, but yeah. Utah wide. It's the
Basically, the
DI.
Mormons are like, stay off my territory.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, like the Logan DI is pretty big now, but man, there's some ones down in Salt Lake. You go, you're like, oh man, this is like the big one.
Mm-hmm.
It's always fun to go hit the huge DIs.
Do you remember when they upgraded the one in Logan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Everybody
Oh, yeah.
was talking about it.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of nice now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Remember
the
when
old
that-
place they totally redid. Now it's a bunch of nice restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. It is. There's a few. My driving instructor in high school actually made me stop at the DI, and he went in and like bought a bag of random shits. It sounded like spoons and stuff. That's one of my favorite
I gotta pick up
memories
some
of that.
utensils.
Yeah, that old building. That's one of my favorite memories of it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Man, when I was a kid, we went there and I wanted something really cool. I don't remember what it was now, but like the price tag had like fallen off it somewhere. So they're like, well, we can't sell it to you. And I'm like, but just make up a price. That's what you do anyways. Just come on. How much
Come
what
on,
do you
just come
want
up with
for it?
something.
Give me that thing.
Yeah.
So, obviously, there's been a lot of crazy stuff going down in our hometown.
Yeah. The
Snow, DIs.
Mhm.
Are your restaurants still open?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of them you can't go into. Some of them you can.
Yeah. Still.
I
quite
don't
a
know
few
if
were
I've
down.
missed it, but restaurants were closed as far as going inside for a bit.
Mm.
Are they open again, Chalky?
Not inside, no.
Oh dang.
Okay. So yeah, it's all takeout and ordering and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
But
oh, yeah.
if you build an outside gazebo thing with plastic windows type of deal, that flies.
So if you build a new inside outside, you can go
They
inside.
will come.
That's
Yeah.
the idea. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, the restaurant, as long as you invest on all this money to stay open, we'll let you stay open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Well-
guess you got to do what you got to do.
Not only are all the places in Logan open, they just opened a new bar. Got a brand new bar license, which
Oh,
is
what?
arguably
Where?
like the worst place to go.
Oh.
It used to be just a venue.
The
the
Tabernacle?
Cache. It's near the Tabernacle.
Oh, it used to be the
That's
Cache?
another fun Utah
Yeah,
word.
it's the same people who ran the Cache. It is the Cache. It's the Cache bar now, though. They got the full bar license.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, but kind of a rough time to open a new business. So best of
Yeah.
luck.
Well, I
That's
heard
true.
that they were getting a new license in town, and I also heard that they extended hours for the last few months, bars weren't able to serve liquor past 10 p.m.
Yeah, that was like when they made the emergency declaration.
Yeah.
It was like
Which
bars
is
had to
like-
be closed.
It's like silly to me because it's like you're taking 8 hours of business and shortening it down to, I don't know, 6 or 5 hours of business. So all those people who are going to come in those 8 hours are maybe going to come in those 5 hours.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to be shortening hours.
Yeah.
As long as they come, though, right?
Yeah, hey, but they don't.
Yeah. Got to get there eventually. I'm just saying, hey, just keeping it clean.
Yeah.
Shocky, though, you're in playing some Cyberpunk 2077 right now. Can you build a gazebo in that game?
Not sure.
All right. What about a
think so.
tabernacle, which isn't a sexual move? That's actually also a building.
I don't think so.
All right.
Tabernacle.
Keep checking back in with you in a minute. We'll let you know when we're getting into the depths. But, all right, let's just jump into the video game stuff. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think you're a gamer, Kellen?
I
10
don't know.
being the most gamery gamer ever.
Probably like 4.
You're
maybe
4?
maybe 5. I would not
Ah.
call myself in the traditional sense of the word. No, like that one picture of the guy duct taped to the ceiling. I've never been close to that. I've been to a few LAN parties, but I didn't live the LAN life.
Yeah. I'd say I'm like a 4. But then maybe somebody would be like, no, dude, you're a 2.
Well, I'm just thinking of what a 10 is. And man, you
Yeah.
hear about some people and you see their times on certain games on Steam, and you're like,
Well,
Hey now.
if you go past 10, you can, and that's just unhealthy. You're no longer a gamer, you're Golem.
Oh,
The power of the ring has sickened you.
how many hours do I need for that?
I don't know. I think it's kind of just play it by ear or by murders.
Because this last week I've definitely been like a 12.
You think you're 12,
Nice.
man?
And just this last week or so,
This last week.
because I took a lot of time off work and then I just built like a $3,000 computer. So
oh
Okay.
yeah.
I've been just playing like 12 to 14 hours a day.
We'll go ahead and say you're a
Nice.
10, though. You haven't stopped eating or shitting properly.
No. It's not.
Okay.
I saw.
You're
I've cleaned out my basement at the same time. That's where
Okay.
the other hours are.
Yeah, you're a
Damn.
healthy 10. You're into it. It's like, I'm going to take some vacation time for this, but
Still gonna get
Yeah.
shit done.
do you remember hearing about that guy that like died of sitting and playing video games and only eating ramen noodles?
Well, there was a few
You-
people who died doing that over in like China, right?
I thought it was like South Korea.
Oh yeah,
but-
yeah, Japan, Korea, but just like
Yeah.
all those
Yeah.
places where, those like cyber cafes where you can rent like a room.
Where internet is a right. I think everybody has access to the internet in South Korea, if I remember correctly.
I mean, it should be. It's a
I
discussion
agree.
for a different day, but it should be.
That's true. But it's like, it's like, we got to be online.
It mostly is. Like, I think most libraries now offer it.
Oh yeah, but it
But
should be
they're
a
like
right
in
as
their
much
homes,
as like something
anywhere.
else. Yeah.
Like your water.
hmm
Well, there you're getting into a whole discussion, actually, I found out. We
yeah?
can save for another time, but I was talking to one of my conservative friends. He's like, I don't know, man. I don't think water is a right. I was like,
Yeah.
well, shit. We
Well,
have
it's
some
becoming a
different
thing.
views,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that sometime.
Well, actually, they just started selling stock in water rights
Yeah.
because they're anticipating a future where there's going to be water shortages and stuff like that. So, good to know our capitalist buddies are just jumping on that and turning it into business.
Yeah.
Anticipating.
Yes. I like that you're conservative buddy, though. He's just doubling down on this shit. He's like,
You
yep,
gotta earn water.
inalienable rights. Good luck. Try to find some water first, then we'll talk about your rights. Libtard. What, you want to drink? You want to stay hydrated, bro?
But a
Man.
post-scarcity society? It's ridiculous.
Oh, well. But we are not here to talk about all that. We're here to talk about video games. So,
Yay.
Niels, I'd say a healthy 10 most of the time. Do you think you ever dip down to like a 7?
Oh, I don't know, maybe for like a couple days at a time.
Couple days.
I'm pretty
Couple rough
pretty
days here
avid
and there.
about it. Yeah.
Well, that's great. I know I've been keeping my buddy Shocky back here busy with like music stuff. And he always has his other little interests, but he's a pretty healthy gamer too. Knows a lot more about it than I do. That's why we got him running the streets of what's the city's name?
Night City.
Night City.
Ooh.
So you've already chosen the size of your penis, right?
Yep.
Now, Neil, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If you make a female character, can you decide the size of your vagina?
No, it's you decide the size of your breasts, though.
Well,
Huh.
Step by step.
Yeah.
One day we'll be equal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The big old sloppy one or the nice little tight one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One that looks like a hot lunch.
Yeah.
Like you left it out for a couple hours.
Like, yeah, you got Arby's and then you like forgot it in the car when you went back into work.
Mm-hmm. So before we get into that Cyberpunk, when did you first realize that you loved video games, Neil?
I don't know, man. That's
It's like hard to remember.
well, it's pretty, some of the first video games I remember playing was my dad's Atari 2600, and
Okay.
playing some games on like DOS. I had this old Simpsons floppy disk that I'd make my mom boot up for me so I could play the like Bart painting game or whatever.
Nice.
And yeah, then we got the Super Nintendo at some point, and Nintendo 64, So just like
Yeah.
I got spoiled essentially with video games, and I was heavily interested in them and just computers in general. So that they all kind of go hand in hand. So
This is true.
yeah, kind of ended up just getting sucked in and never losing interest, and never
That's
like
great.
even waning interest really that much. There's really been very few periods of my life where I've not been playing games almost every single day for multiple hours.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I've actually been. I almost feel guilty about my gaming going down over the years.
Yeah.
Just, whether it's like going to work, doing other random stuff, trying to do music,
Mhm.
occasionally trying to put my genitals in another person.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm not catching up on that new game that got released. So,
Yeah.
what's been nice about hanging out with you and Shocky is that I feel like I've been more exposed to the games again. And so, an element of one reason I wanted to do this episode is it's like, oh, anytime there's a new release, we could really like delve into it and just kind of participate in the fun of that. Because I definitely like seeing the cultural impact of video games. There's always big releases, but every once in a while one comes along where everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I guess even before we get into that, like this is kind of like what's your top 5 video games, or what games over the last, I guess, part of your life have like made a huge impact. That goes to you and Kellen, but we'll start with Neil.
I mean, Kerbal Space Program, probably one of the biggest ones. I put thousands of hours into that game, all the way back when it was in alpha.
And for those who don't know, what's that game?
It's you run a space program with little Kerbals, populated things, but you build. You start out in either, if you want to do like certain mode, you build rockets, little small ones, build all the way up to making little stations going interplanetary and doing however you want to do your own little space program. And then there's tons of mods, so you can kind of change how that all works. Different like trees on how you unlock parts and a bunch of different parts, and even new planets and stuff you can add to the game. So that's
okay.
amazing.
And for a layman like me, there's all these like terms like MMO or turn-based RPG. Like I kind of had to relearn all those. What would you classify that game as?
Like simulator / management a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly simulator.
Cool. I probably won't do that for every game you mentioned, but I feel like that's a unique game that I hadn't learned about until you showed it to me.
Yeah. It was a semi niche game. I'm surprised I found it so early.
Yeah.
But and then these aren't really in any order past that. But like Fallout New Vegas / Fallout 3 were really
Mm-hmm.
big RPGs that opened up RPGs in a way that involved like guns and stuff. RPGs before that were like Final Fantasy to me, essentially, and that's the only way I enjoyed RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
And then Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, that's been really crazy because I've always wanted to have like a nice flight experience, and FSX was always bad. So this year
Yeah.
that game got me into it. And then beyond that, it's essentially like all these little random roguelites and like deck building roguelites that
Okay.
I get really sucked into. And I don't love like the Slay the Spire, Monster Train, Griftlands. There's a bunch of those that have been coming out the last couple of years, and they're all super fun. And I don't know, just have a really good sense of satisfaction that I used to get from playing Magic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I remember when you first told me that term, I wasn't sure what it was, and tell me if I'm right here. Deck building roguelite is that, yeah, you have these like stacked cards, like a deck of cards or abilities or something, and then you go through the game and you kind of go as long as you can, then you die, but then you maybe start over and still have the upgrades or something like that.
Usually with like a deck builder, it'll start you with like a starting deck, and then you'll gain more cards. You'll either pick new ones or it'll give them randomly, and then
Mm-hmm.
the most common thing is it'll unlock more cards in the pool of randomness. So you'll have more synergies and stuff to work with the more cards you unlock, which it gets harder because there's
Mm-hmm.
more cards. You get some certain cards less often, but it's also just way more fun because sometimes you can have these really insane synergies.
Mm-hmm. One we've mentioned on the podcast before is Gunfire Reborn.
Hmm.
We've been playing that a lot lately, and that's kind of
Yeah,
like a shooter roguelite.
yeah, it definitely is a first-person shooter roguelite with a little bit of platforming involved.
Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Good times.
So Kellen, how about you? I don't think we've had this discussion yet. What's kind of like top five some of the
Ooh.
bigger games in your life?
Well, I'm gonna have to agree with Neil on Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Definitely spent a lot of time on them.
Yeah.
Um, also would throw in Skyrim, Oblivion. Skyrim if I had to pick, but I really like both those games a lot. Um, and one game I've never gotten sick of is GoldenEye. It's super old school, but I love that game. Stardew Valley. That's a super fun game.
Mm-hmm. We talked about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other one. I don't know what the last one would be. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, probably have to get like a Nintendo game in there, another one, and throw in like Mario Sunshine or something. I played that game a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think the first time I really got like I loved my video games and I had like a Super Nintendo, so I would play a bunch of stuff, but the one I really got immersed in was Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Mm-hmm.
And then a little bit later was Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9, and I went through those three in a row. As far as those older or not older, newer RPGs, Skyrim was the one that really got me, even though I really loved Fallout 3 and New Vegas. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think if like honestly, I think as I've gotten older and more curmudgeonly, I've gotten into like the turn-based strategy games like Civ
Hmm.
and Stellaris, and I just like to like slowly take over the world or universe and manage my citizens' taxes.
Yeah.
It's it's just like it's somewhat soothing for me.
Yeah.
Also, maybe a little bit evil, but
I don't
I'm
know.
not
Those
sure.
are fun. Management games are super fun. Man, like,
Oh yeah, SimCity that was huge to me when I was a kid.
hmm,
Just the idea of making your own city and like learning all that was huge for me.
yeah, I almost put City Skylines on this list because it's one of my like top played games,
Hmm.
Oh, nice.
which
I don't
probably
know if
should
I've ever
throw.
played that one.
Yeah, it's like SimCity, but a little bit more. It's just different, made by a different developer. It's kind of same idea though.
That's cool.
and modern.
Still holds up these days?
Oh yeah, I still go back and play it every once in a while.
Nice.
Yeah, I might have to try that out.
Yeah.
Shocky, how about you?
Top 5?
Top 5, just maybe 2 or 3 major titles for you growing up?
Man, alright. Half-Life 2.
Ooh, good one.
Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
That was a period in this household.
Yeah.
I was there for part of that.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. That
Never
was
really.
Golem-esque for a minute there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apex Legends.
Yeah.
Game's crazy good to me. I love
Let's
the
go old
movement.
school, though.
It's
like
mainly the movement.
super young. What got you?
Ooh, super young. Well, the first game that I really remember and played a ton of was Super Mario.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all kind of hit that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a major thing.
Doom.
Donkey Kong Country was one of the
Doom
big
on the
ones.
PC.
Oh, yeah. Donkey
Oh.
Kong Country. What am I thinking? That
Yeah.
whole trilogy I was obsessed with.
And
Yeah,
Doom,
there's
yeah.
so many.
The first Doom,
Doom.
so good.
Yeah. The first
Wolfenstein.
Doom. The
That
first
was
game,
the
was
very,
so-
very first one, like the DOS one. My brother used to play that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just gotta sit and watch him. He never let me play it. But it was cool. Shooting Nazis.
Yeah.
I'm always down for that.
Oh yeah.
So, Cyberpunk 2077. Let's just get into it. Before we have Shocky Wheel over here, let's kind of discuss a little bit of the cultural impact of this game first before we really get into the game itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, from the outside, I hadn't heard of this game until Shocky mentioned it, and he's like, dude, check this out. And I was like, that's cool. But I'm not necessarily the best at looking at footage or screenshots and knowing what kind of game it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like, I've definitely made purchases in my life where I'm like, that looks cool. And then I get it, and it's like, oh,
Oops.
this is totally different kind of gameplay than I thought it was going to be. And so I'm getting better at it, but when he was showing me stuff, I was like, that looks really pretty. I'm not totally sure what it is. It's like, is it a Skyrim thing? Is it a BioShock thing? Like, wasn't really sure. So I kind of just tuned out. I figured I'd see a lot of it when it finally came out. And that was kind of the thing is, I think you had mentioned it like almost a year ago or something like that, Shocky, and then they kept delaying it.
They did delay it 4 times? I think 4.
Was that 4 times that got delayed? That sounds about right.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess first things first is why we got more of our gamers on. Is that pretty normal for a big release?
I mean, sometimes.
More or
Sometimes.
less. I think most major games get pushed back in some way at
Yeah.
some point or another.
If they give a release
Yeah.
date, some of them just
Yeah.
won't until it's like actually ready.
Which some people I've heard say Cyberpunk gave the release date. They promised it'd be out in 2020, and maybe they shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that
Yeah.
could be their publisher pushing them to do that too. Because CD Projekt Red is the developer, but I don't know if they're the publisher as well. I think they have someone else doing publishing and stuff.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
And that's happened to some other games. That happened to No Man's Sky too. You got pushed out because publishing wanted it to be released because there was a lot of hype around it.
And this CD Project Red, or they did Witcher 3, right?
Yeah.
And didn't Witcher 3 have kind of similar issues, at least on console, as far as like graphics not being what they wanted initially, or little bug patches?
Well, I think that happens a lot with a lot of these games that are quite demanding, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even this machine, it can't do full 60 FPS at the 4K on ultra settings like you'd think it would, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because that
Yeah.
game's very demanding. And even with some settings turned down, the consoles are quite powerful, but they're not as powerful as people are hoping they are, or whatever.
Yeah.
But they think
Mm-hmm.
there's some magical like software that is going to make their console more efficient and actually run these higher end games that just barely came out on their old gen consoles.
Do you feel like this is an example of a thing I see a lot where it's just like, PC gamers are just superior because these console gamers,
I mean,
they're just playing on inferior equipment.
It's like yes and no, because like some of my buddies are playing on like 980s, like 970s, or someone has like a 1060 or something with the graphics cards, and they're like, that's going to be outperformed by sometimes like a PS4 Pro will probably run some games better than like the 970 or maybe the 1060 or something,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was gathering from a lot of feedback online was that PC's more or less working pretty great. PS4, it's a bit rough. Xbox, it's a bit rough. But then there's folks that have like the PS4 Pro or PS5 and they've had less issues and they're like, it's no big deal.
Yeah, and it's playable.
Yeah. As far as, but yeah, there's been a lot of crashes on PS4s, I guess.
Yeah.
And so Sony just came out and said that they're removing Cyberpunk 2077 from PlayStation Store and offering refunds. How unprecedented is that?
Didn't that happen with 76? Well, didn't they offer
Fallout
refunds
76?
at least?
Yeah, not Cyberpunk 2076. Fallout 76.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did offer refunds for Fallout 76.
We're getting Shocky in on this. We're just going to start diving in.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, yeah, so as seasoned gamers, you're kind of like, this is no big deal. People are just bitching.
I mean, I figured people were going to bitch.
If you're on PS4, I feel like it is pretty necessary to complain about it and get that refund.
Sure. Yeah.
But where there's bugs with such a giant game, it's kind of going to happen. People compare Red Dead Redemption, but that doesn't have the same scope and the same things going on a screen at any given time. Mm-hmm. There's so much coding that's flowing together in Cyberpunk compared to a game like Red Dead Redemption 2 that it's kind of going to happen, especially when everyone has such different builds. They have different drivers for things. They have other software that conflicts with other drivers and or the back end of Windows.
So essentially, it's like these are issues, and perhaps the company shouldn't say we're definitely releasing in 2020, like little mistakes like that. But in general, it's just like, yeah, these bugs happen, and the internet's going to do what the internet do, and just shit all over it, and just be assholes a little bit. But that being said, they're like, yeah, there's issues, but it's kind of fun. Like, it's all kind of all part of it. Like, one game we haven't even started playing yet is Baldur's Gate 3, because they're still developing that, and it's like early access release. So we're kind of waiting for that to develop a bit more. But like you were saying the other night, Neil, sometimes you like picking the game right up and watch it develop over time, and that could be a lot of fun. And for me, I read one person talking about a glitch in their Cyberpunk where a guy got into a car and then he drove away, but it was just the body.
Yeah.
And it just started driving and going around, and the car stayed right there. And
yeah,
I don't know about you, but for me, when I'm playing video games, that shit just is funny to me. Like Skyrim, you stab a dragon and it's just like,
yeah,
it's just, it's like origami.
Those are funny, but there are some like more serious bugs. I mean, I've had a handful of crashes. I've probably had like 6 or 7 crash to desktop. And there's been a couple times where it just like freezes up and I have to go and kill the process. But I mean, I also have put close to 80 hours in this game. So
Not to go super old school and off of Cyberpunk, but do you guys remember that story about the ET video game?
that's like
And they
the
like
worst
released
one.
it on original Nintendo, and
I think it was
they
an
like
Atari
buried
game.
it in a pit somewhere in like Utah or something.
Yeah, they
like
went
that.
and dug them up.
Yeah, it's an Atari game. Yeah,
Oh, Atari. Okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
that's
one of
right.
the. It's like one of the absolute worst video games ever.
Yeah. So we're not at the point of burying Cyberpunk yet. Like it's still a lot of
Absolutely
fun.
not.
Oh, it's
It's
awesome.
incredibly fun. It's like,
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
like if you played Skyrim on launch day or Fallout 3 on launch day or Fallout New Vegas on launch day, fucking yeah, you would have got a lot more crashes and a lot more bugs than this game has.
What
I
the
think,
fuck?
at least on PC and stuff. In my experience, I don't know.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
consoles were probably a little more stable than Cyberpunk is on PS4 and stuff, but I don't know. Cyberpunk is an incredibly demanding game. Like the scenes are so busy. There's so much lighting and there's a lot of reflections going on. And there's probably like 5 to 10 times the amount of NPCs walking around than Grand Theft Auto has.
Oh wow.
For the layman, an NPC is a non-playable character.
Yeah,
Just making sure I'm keeping
Oh,
some
really?
of my folks up to date.
right.
Dang it.
So I guess let's think a couple questions here about the game itself. I've been asking Shockey this one. What other video games would you compare it to?
There's a few.
Yeah,
Uh,
like Fallout
it
and Grand
has-
Theft Auto kind of come to mind mostly when I'm
Yeah.
playing.
What do you
It
think,
has a
Shockey?
slight Deus Ex feel.
Deus Ex, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking watching it. Kind of
Yeah.
Human Revolution and Grand Theft Auto.
And there was another game.
Well, they did Witcher 3. Is it like that?
Not really.
I mean, in the
Alright.
sense that it's
In
story
the-
rich and the world is
Yes.
like nice and there's a lot of detail.
Actually, it has aspects of Metal Gear Solid,
Oh yeah,
just a little bit, but it
Dude,
has.
my character is
I
like
started.
a ninja. I've been loving this still.
That's what I just was gonna say as well. I've gone that direction where the katana is really fun.
Oh, we have built
you
the same
use-
character.
Yeah, you get like speed boosts and like movement abilities and certain things where you can jump higher, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it all comes together where you're moving really fast and you're not taking a lot of damage and you're just like slicing through people.
Yeah.
Damn.
Can you be a sex worker?
No. No, you can go. Well, a lot of sex workers are like androids.
Oh.
Yeah, they're Joy Toys. You can go. You can go talk to Joy Toy.
PACs.
Yeah,
But there's dolls too.
that's 100 eddies, and you can go have some fun with a Joy Toy.
Yeah, but there's
Oh.
dolls. So
Yeah.
dolls are human cyborgs. Everyone's kind of a cyborg.
Are they NFCs?
Um, so I guess I'm still a little bit on like what I've been reading about. So I don't mean to bash this game because I haven't even played it yet. But I was reading an article from Collider.com, and I will say right off the bat they are moody SJWs over there. And
Oh,
I'm
okay. Is this
I'm-
about the
I'm-
poster?
well, we'll get into it.
Okay.
His main argument is that he feels like this game exposes the limitations of an open world game in terms of a story.
Oh,
That you're so pushed into doing side quests that there isn't this main thing that you care about, thus making it not as engaging. How do you feel about that as a concept?
I don't know.
Like,
I feel
yeah.
very engaged, honestly, in this because
Yeah.
like the main storyline is like stuff that is mainly going on that progresses the actual story and certain maybe things that are happening around, but the side quests that are spawning are from those people you meet in that main storyline. So you can choose if you want to go hang out with this character more and like, oh, this person's actually kind of interesting. Maybe I'll go do quests with them. Other people are like, I don't have time for you. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
If you want.
How do you feel about that, Shockey?
I feel basically like you would almost have to not be engaged with the story in the sense that you're not really paying attention to what's going on. Because if you are, then there's certain things you want to be doing.
Yeah, if you skip all the dialogue, you won't care about it at all, of course.
Yeah, if you're looking for the next fight and you're like, whatever, like a lot of games you can do that where you're just like, skip all this, I just want the next fight. But a lot of Cyberpunk has to deal with caring about what's happening in the story for what you're doing to make the most sense.
Well, and I think the guy had mentioned, it's like you had to do like 6 or 7 quests to get a car, but you need a car, something like that. I'm not sure.
I started with a car.
You started with a
Yeah,
car.
you start. There's a quest line you can do to get a free car. I think there's a couple you can do to get free cars, but
and I have 2 motorbikes that have been given to me now.
Yeah, I got Pan Am, the one from the Pan Am story, but I've got 2 cars, the Delamain car.
So yeah, maybe he's just a dum-dum. Doesn't know how to do it. But his 2 other things we'll get to, and then we'll move on, is obviously he kind of had to do like the obvious, like, I don't know if I appreciate how the game treats its sex robots, but you're like, yeah, got it.
Yep.
And feel free to write us at fakoshka@gmail.com if you have a problem with that, but I am... He's like, is it? Yeah, we know. That's kind of the whole creating a world of like, oh, this is a seedy area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a weird future where like things have been so heavily capitalized, and the society is just this really insane world where like cops only protect a certain small area, and there's announcements in the world that tell you that it's not okay for you to use your gun to advance in traffic. Like that's the world that you're living in this kind of thing, and you're supposed to immerse yourself in that.
Yeah.
And that leads me into the next part of the guy's article, which he says it's Cyberpunk 2077, but he feels like the game never quite developed its own cyberpunk world. He felt like it was a mishmash of all this cyberpunk stuff from other things, like Japanese films and...
Oh, or the original
Blade
RPG
Runner
it was based on?
Oh, see, there you go. Let's get into that.
The original tabletop RPG.
Oh.
It was like Cyberpunk. I can't remember what year it was, like 2020 something. An old tabletop RPG that kind of is a world sort of like this. It's not exactly like this from what I was reading about, but it's like very heavily. That's where most cyberpunk stuff is inspired from, I think, in modern stuff.
Oh, Chelsea Clinton was president. Xenon.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. Things have changed a little bit as far as projections go, but yeah. So see, I didn't even know that it was based on a board game. So
well, tabletop
pretty much
game
based off of
board game, like Dungeons and Dragons tabletop game.
We'll see. Once again, these are game terms. I don't know. Play it on a table is a board game, right? The table's the board.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, board games are tabletop games. So
it's kind of like all thumbs are fingers, but not all fingers are thumbs.
Yeah.
It's a weird Venn diagram.
Yeah. So basically, we can wash away most of these criticisms. Do you feel like we could do that? It's a pretty fun game.
It's a very fun game.
If you like video games, you're like, I like this game.
And if you want to find something to complain about, you're going to look at the advertisements on the side of the street and complain about them.
I heard that they had to do a patch because people were getting like an just crazy amount of dildos spawning in the world. That's like a random thing that can spawn, so they had to patch out. So like, it's too many dildos.
I didn't see that in the patch notes.
Okay,
I did hear about people not being able to keep their dicks in their pants.
Yeah, your dick will fall out of your pants sometimes.
I heard about that.
I haven't seen that one yet.
It's rare to see because you're not in third person very much.
So far I've only played in first person.
Yeah.
Well, when are we going to be equal and we can have giant lunch pussies fall out of their pants as a glitch and make things equal?
Yeah. I think it's in like the inventory screen or something is where they're seeing it.
Lunch pussy. Said that one more time before we move on, because I don't think we're ever going to use that term again.
I don't know. Maybe someday I'll just be like, I'm just going to hop out for some quick lunch pussy.
Yeah, head out for a quick lunch pussy. Sure you don't need a brunch pussy? We got a lot of work to do today. So, what, like, you are both ninjas. How many different classes? That was one other criticism I heard.
Oh,
Maybe
it's not really the classes, and
character building was not as in depth as some people had hoped.
I think it's as in depth as you want it to be. Like
Okay.
that's kind of the part of it is I don't know. I think people were expecting more refinement. There are so many perks in there, like in the thing. There's like the 5 main attributes, and then inside of there's like fucking 20 different perks to choose from, and some of them have 2 or 3 different trees of not even trees, just like pages of these perks to choose from. So there's hundreds of perks essentially that you're able to choose from. So yeah, there's a good amount of customization, really. Like, besides being a ninja, my character is very heavily based on using either pistols or sniper rifles. So if I can get to a position, a good vantage point where I can see everyone in an area, I can pick all of them up with the sniper. They won't be able to tell. Or if I have to get in close, the pistol. And then if I get caught, the katana.
So you're like a sharp shooting ninja kid.
Yeah. And I'm sure Shockey has a slightly different build. I'm sure he doesn't carry around a massive sniper rifle and use it as his first option. You know?
That's true.
Okay. You're like, no, actually, that's my exact same build.
Like, wait,
what are your
sniper
sniper rifle?
Yeah, what?
A backup sniper rifle.
Yeah.
But mainly I have a power rifle and a regular assault rifle, and then a katana. And usually I just assess everything, and then I target a bunch of stuff, and if I have to, I'll like distract people. I try and be as silent as possible. Like, the goal is for me usually to get in and out without being seen while completing the objective.
You're like a murder economist.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Oh, we have the same objective. I just have fat silencers on my sniper rifle. I can get really close to people before they hear me. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, and I just try and be like, so they can't. Nobody's seen me either. Like I'll take people out if I have to. Like if they're in a position or it's just a dangerous situation. But
I usually murder everybody
at all.
I usually murder everybody.
And then if I get caught, my first reaction, I whip out my katana and go immediately and like try and kill as many people in a row. And sometimes that's a bad idea. No. Some have like where, like you'll like all of a sudden you'll go into a room that you were in just like, not too many minutes ago because you triggered the alarm. All of a sudden there's 6 people. And when they shoot you all at once, then you're dead for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta be a little careful. I like the little slide though. That's really fun to do. Just like sprint around and then slide and then slice some dude open.
Oh yeah, the sliding like with the slow motion attribute.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
So yeah, I don't even know if I agreed with that limited character creation stuff because I've already seen pictures of people making Squidwards and Mike Pence and
the face and
like
stuff.
all kinds of stuff.
People were thinking and they believed that they'd be able to choose like, I want an 8.5-inch dick and my balls are size 6.
I only got a 9er.
Wait, they're numbers?
No, that's what I mean. I think that's what people were expecting, but it ended up being you get small, default, or large for your dick size or breast size if you choose whatever the body type. You choose the body type and then later you choose your genitals.
Were we talking the other day about changing the way we talk about our dick size to the metric system because it makes it look bigger?
Maybe could we do it in millimeters?
It sounds bigger. You're like, yeah.
Millimeters? It's like, yeah. It's like
1,000 millimeters.
Yeah, whoa, that's a long one.
Yeah.
Double digits, bro.
Yeah.
I have a bad back. So, if Kellen and I were to start playing this game, this could be fun. What type of character should we make?
Oh, I mean, whatever you feel like. That's.
But if you were to make a Jacob,
if you were to go into Dungeons
if you were to make a Jacob Wayne character, what class would it be?
Well, I don't know.
You definitely need to be a samurai as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you do love like Star Wars Jedi Knight.
Well, do they have pink lightsabers in the game?
No, there's a pink katana though.
Yet. There you go.
There's a
Alright.
pink katana.
Double edged.
So that's one thing.
Okay.
People were complaining about there not being a thermal katana that they had advertised in some
Oh, well, maybe that'll be.
deal. Apparently, there's a bigger list than that too.
Maybe there's a DLC or an update. Because when you drive off the map, it's like there's nothing here for you yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when we played Fallen Order, and I found out you could get a double-edged pink lightsaber, it's like I asked for this in every game, and I finally have it. And so that'll usually win me over on any game.
Yeah.
Even if it's Stardew Valley. It's like, we're farming and stuff. Do I get a double-edged pink lightsaber?
You can get a lava katana or a galaxy sword.
Yeah, the galaxy sword's cool.
Can you make it pink?
I'm sure the mods, you can make anything.
You could probably mod it pink.
Okay.
You could probably mod in a lightsaber.
In Cyberpunk 2077, have they solved climate change?
You know, I don't know if they really address that too much. At least in Night City, it doesn't seem like it's too hot or cold or anything.
Where's it supposed to be? Is it just kind of up
It's
to your
in
imagination?
California. No, it's in California.
California. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Some guy, I forget his name. I've only heard it once in the game so far. But he was some entrepreneur slash business guy that built the city in like 2020-ish.
Mm.
Something like that. I could be a little bit like wrong there because there's a lot of information. I have been reading quite a bit of the lore, but I haven't heard anything on climate change. There was 3 corporate wars, and the corporations ended up like winning.
Google, Amazon, and Microsoft.
I don't.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Akasuna. What is it?
Arasaka.
Arasaka.
And Militech.
Militech.
Yeah. All right. Well, I suppose we're getting a little long in the tooth on this episode. So we'll move on. But before we move on from Cyberpunk 2077, me and Neil were talking about a little bit of the music in the game. I know there's a Run the Jewels track that's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Also a feature from South African rapper Eugen Blackrock. She's awesome. Look her up. She's on the Black Panther soundtrack too, on a quick little feature. But her albums are great. I think the name of her first album was Return of the Astrogoth. Like, she's very cool. And
Nice.
might have a little crush on her, even though she might want nothing to do with my penis. But
Rip.
Shocky, any songs stand out to you?
Lately.
On the game, yeah.
There is one song that reminds me of 9 Inch Nails on it.
Yeah, that's the one
Yeah.
I probably sent to Jacob. It makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
And then
And that was who again?
It's Oneno, I think.
Oneno.
Oneno.
Yeah, it's like an upbeat Nine Inch Nails song.
Kinda.
Like it's Nine Inch Nailsy, but he's like a little more like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of my vibe.
there was a hip hop song on there too that was really good. I really liked it.
Yeah. I've just been loving stealing cars and listening to whatever radio station they had playing.
Nice.
Well, like, that's kind of why I was curious, because when I played Grand Theft Auto 3, like, K-Jaw radio, that was my shit. Like,
Yeah.
I was gonna
throw on
say,
K-Jaw and just drive around and just, and do it for hours.
could
Yeah.
you change the radio?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nice.
You can change the radios that are sitting there. Like if you come into some encampment and there's a radio on the table, you can go up to it and turn it on or off and change the station.
Oh yeah.
But it's all one station in the future, right? Just like
Sure.
our future.
No, they still
The
use
board.
FM.
Hell yeah. Still Marie Chavez pressing the issue.
NPR. All right. Well, before we move on, how many Liberty Spikes do you give Cyberpunk 2077, Shocky?
Oh.
You only got one head to fit all those Liberty spikes on. How much is it worth?
How many Liberty spikes can I put on there?
Oh, so you're just gonna as many as I can get.
I'm just wondering. I'm like trying to gauge.
Squidward's head.
Probably like
How would-
11.
You can
We've
fit
never
11
had an
on
11
Squidward's head.
scale. Yeah.
Damn.
All right.
So you love it.
I mean, I'd
No,
give it
I was
a
just saying that's how
solid-
many you could fit on Squidward's head.
No, but he wants to fill it up. I can see it in his eyes, sitting right next to me.
No, it's really good. Don't get me wrong. It's really good. But I would say like it's like an 8.5,
There's a couple
just
of those
because it
floppy
was
ones.
released. There was a lot of things, that weren't there. There was troubles with the current gen model consoles. The release was a little subpar. The game itself is great when it runs good. I've actually had very little issues personally. Besides, I've been trying to use a PS5 controller with it, and that sometimes will glitch out to where it will get stuck on certain buttons.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have
And
weird
then I'll
stuff
have to, like,
with
reset the
controller
game.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but
But overall,
overall, 8.5.
okay. Neil?
Yeah, I mean, I might agree with that. I was thinking I might start to get bored a little bit at this point, and now I'm like kind of doubling down and looking at the achievements. So I might give it a little bit more around a 9.5, just because it seems like it's gonna stand at least the first test of time. We'll see if in like 2 weeks if I'm playing my third character.
So you're maybe even beyond Liberty Spikes, like you got the Goku hair almost for it.
Well, maybe. I'm
Yeah.
like I just changed all my RGB stuff over to Cyberpunk themed because I can't get it to do what I initially wanted to when I built it. So
Okay.
I'll just set it up to Cyberpunk because I sit up, I wake up, I drink my coffee, I watch a couple of my videos, and I'm playing Cyberpunk.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think the lesson we learned here today, fellas, before we move on to our ending segments, is quit being such lunch pussies, the internet.
Yeah. Just
Get
enjoy
over
it.
yourselves.
Just enjoy
Just
something
enjoy
for
it.
once. Just
Yeah,
live your
come
fucking
on.
life and enjoy it. Fuck.
It
Yeah, and
was
if you're like, man, I'm
perfect.
not really into this one, then throw on Mario again. You fuck.
Yeah. Go to your Steam library and sort by recently played and then scroll down a ways and find some game that you paid like $60 for that you played for 3 hours and try it again. You know?
That's a good point. There's a lot of games that get released that have like a 7 to 10 playtime life, where you play it once through. That's it. You're like, okay, I got it. I beat the game.
Yeah.
$60. Maybe it'll go for 15 hours. Maybe 20.
Yeah.
Right.
A game like Cyberpunk, you're gonna get 100 hours out of it.
Or I mean,
Yeah.
you can finish it in like 15. Like 15 to 20 if you just do every main mission and just ignore everyone else who's asking for your attention, and there's a lot of them. That is one thing that I'll note is it's overwhelming how many people are calling you all at once.
Yeah.
But-
There is a period of that for sure.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about television right now. That's a subject for another podcast, but
Yeah.
it's like, you should be watching this show. You should watch this show. You've seen this miniseries? I'm like,
Yeah.
no. Like, I kind of shut down a little bit. I'm like, fuck all of you.
Yeah. But if you
Watching movies
ignore all that, then you can finish it in like 15 to 20 hours. But I don't know how far away I'm
My
at.
movies are side quests.
I mean,
I'm off the main story.
maybe both, but yeah. the game, yeah.
All right.
But there's so many good side quests. That's the thing. Is like, if you don't generally get sucked into any sort of storyline or care about characters in a story, you might not enjoy Cyberpunk very much, honestly.
Okay.
Because
But I mean,
yeah, you should
that
let
actually
yourself get
speaks
sucked
to
in.
me
Yeah.
because I don't really give
Yeah.
a shit about story.
Yeah.
I throw on podcasts and play stuff just to unwind. So
Yeah, and I
if
do
I
that
can
with
just
some
zip
games.
around Night City, then that sounds great to me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could, but the game might be shorter and less interesting, and you might be one of those people that
Sure.
writes a review and says that this game is shallow and doesn't have a lot of detail, and you know,
Well, I enjoy a game that's versatile. You can choose to like, oh, this story is good, or no, I'm just getting in here and having
Yeah.
fun, and
Yeah.
it still makes sense as a game.
right? Yeah,
Like,
and I think it
there's
does. It
certain
just
games on PS4 where I'm like, this probably is really awesome. I just don't feel like listening to the story,
hmm
so then I'm a little lost.
Yeah.
But that's my fault. So I'm not gonna get on a website and wait.
yeah. You're not paid to play a game and tell people if it's good or not.
It's true.
You know, well, not yet at least. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to some weird news. We're not doing advice column this week, Kellen.
Nope. Double weird news.
Double weird news. Double guns. All right, let's hit
All right.
us with the first one.
Okay. So, this came out in September. Airbus redesigns A350 center console because pilots keep spilling coffee on critical instruments. So,
Nice.
So there's been two planes that have had to divert and go to like emergency land. But it's
What
the
kind of coffee?
just probably just Starbucks.
Airport
That's what's in every
coffee, yeah.
airport, you
This
know. Yeah.
airport Starbucks.
Well,
coffee.
if you're in some
latte.
other one, maybe some Costa coffee, or if you're over in London, I saw all the time over there.
Oh yeah, that's a
Depends where you were.
stuff. Yep.
They have coffee machines
tea.
on the plane
they have
too.
tea over there.
True.
Yeah, you could get. Yeah, you can just get coffee on the plane.
But it's just that.
Do they have
airplane.
coffee spillage in Flight Simulator?
No,
Okay. Well,
no. They have buttons for some of the stuff, and you can like even the heat and cool air for the cabin. You can turn those on and off, but they don't actually do anything. Even though on some planes
Okay.
there's a temperature readout for your cabin air, and it goes down to like 21 Fahrenheit. You're just like frozen flying around apparently.
you've spilled a triple shot macchiato.
Yeah.
And
Divert to San Diego.
So apparently they didn't put in big enough cup holders, so they have to
Mm.
use the console as like a table. So
Oh.
Airbus released a little cover, but in the meantime, you know, some places just been like, stop drinking in the cockpit.
What? No.
No,
Fuck off.
They should have. We should
real.
innovate.
Why
They
pilots
need
need their coffee? Yeah.
Keep them awake.
Yeah. They need to be very alert.
At what year do you think if the pilot spilled coffee on the controls, like you're just fucked? Like spill, fuck, we're dead.
Oh, probably not too long
1972?
ago. No, because stuff was still all mechanical back then. Like when, I don't know. It's tough to say, because really most airplanes have mechanical backup systems. And really, only a few modern ones don't really, but they don't have their main computer in the center console either.
Yeah. Apparently, just these Rolls Royce engines like to shut down when you spill coffee on their controls.
Well, the center console on the Airbus is where the engine control is.
Okay.
So if you spill stuff down in there and start shorting out stuff, it might register as like something going wrong.
I'd blame the stewardess.
Yeah.
As soon as we landed, just coming in here, just walking around,
Flashing your
gangly
ass.
stems. Can't even stand upright.
Hey, everybody, this is John on the flight deck. Just wanted to let you know we're making an emergency landing thanks to Sandy. This shit
Thanks
ass
a lot,
coffee.
Sandy. And she's like, oh my god, I wasn't even up there, y'all. All right, what's the next weird news?
I thought you had it.
Oh, I do. Well, you have it too, but
Oh, yeah.
I just like your voice
Right.
so much more than mine.
Wait, where
What?
is I can try to find it.
I have it pulled up. Hold on
Okay.
a second. All right. A former Israeli space security chief has sent eyebrows shooting heavenward by saying that Earthlings have been in contact with extraterrestrials from a galactic federation. The unidentified flying objects have asked not to publish that they are here. Humanity is not ready yet, Haim Eshed says. He's a former head of Israel's Defense Ministry Space Directorate, and he also said that Trump knows about this, but he won't talk about it since the UFOs have asked him not to speak.
Yeah, that's bullshit. He
Yeah.
would be all
what?
over that.
Well, I've heard the same thing back when George Bush was president.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was like a very, very similar thing that I heard.
But
Was
what
it-
about Space Force?
That's interesting.
He would
But
totally.
no, we were talking about this. It's like, why did he just suddenly want to do Space Force?
Well, Space Force is because the Air Force is doing everything in space right now, and so they want to separate it.
But what about JFK Jr. actually being alive, helping Trump's clear the swamp, and getting rid of all these people stealing adrenochrome from baby spines?
Right? I don't know.
And, handing it out in Pizzagate basements.
Yeah.
Then we live in a Black Mirror episode.
A little bit. I thought that was really fun, though, that the Galactic Federation is like, I want to talk to the Jews and America.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else
Well,
kept
yeah,
their mouth shut.
The Jews control the world, apparently. So
Well, it costs a lot of money to take adrenochrome out of baby spines, so
yeah, it's a
Hollywood
labor-intensive
can't do it all
process.
by themselves.
It has to be hand pumped.
Mhm.
Hand pumped baby adrenochrome. Organic.
Yeah.
Is that what they put in the Irish cream iced coffee at Starbucks? It's so tasty.
That's what the pilots are really spilling on those controls, man. That's what you don't know.
And the whole plane's going down.
But I think we discussed this too, though, that, like, wouldn't that be a great way to end the year?
I mean,
Alright.
Williams?
Aliens, and I liked that it was a federation of aliens, so it's not like one domineering evil one. It's just like, oh no, it's like the UN, and they finally like, okay.
Tom
the
DeLonge
Galactic
was right.
Federation. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
But no, that
have-
is sadly the main crux of it, is like, Trump knows and didn't say anything. You're like, well, this is
Totally.
bullshit.
Yeah.
That's exactly. Yeah. At one of his rallies, he would have been like, "Okay, listen, we can't don't tell anyone, but the aliens love me."
The UFOs have told me. Well, actually, I can't say, but I'm gonna say very soon. If you elect me, I'll tell you exactly what the UFOs wanted.
See, and I'm on the mindset that Trump has a magnificent ability to keep things a secret. But that's just me.
Why?
Hmm.
You know,
Like his taxes?
Ba-dum.
no, just the way that he's, just the way that he's ran certain prospects of, like, with his construction work and stuff like that.
He hasn't told us about his boyfriend Putin.
Nope.
See,
But that's the thing. He'd be dropping hints constantly. He's not good at keeping secrets. He's still like, I don't know. Like, why would you look over here when I totally obviously did something? Like, he'd just be like, I don't know. He'd have like pictures of aliens at his rallies and just like, oh, what's that?
true.
I didn't know I put that there. It's probably the Democrats. Anyways, I think that's it.
I think that's a good episode.
Thank you for
Alright.
joining us, Shockey. How do you feel about your first visit to the Jacob Wayne Show?
Good.
That took a
I
while.
was hoping a little more woohoos in the background, but
Well, I can't be a whole crowd.
we'll get you next time. Yeah. But, Neil, it's always great having you on.
It's always fun.
Hoping to get into these movie commentaries soon. Just gotta
Indeed.
kind of figure out how we're gonna go about that. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Be
Yeah.
awesome.
And I think we should do that with Mission to Mars. Oh, that's true. That was the one part of the story before we leave. The Galactic Federation has a base on Mars,
Oh,
and they send like ambassadors there, and then we have astronauts up there, and
oh.
That's how we communicate. So, Mission to Mars, baby. I think it's a totally different premise, but
Let's go.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Nice.
all right.
Hmm.
But thank you for joining us, fellas. This was a lovely episode. Is this episode 15?
15. Yep.
Oh, good lord. Well, they keep getting better and better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lunch pussy.
Lunch
Wow.
pussy.
So many times.
Yeah, I know. I just had to get it out.
Lunch pussy.
All right.
Get your brunch munch on.
Get your brunch munch on. All right.
Later,
I'll
everybody.
Talk to y'all next week.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take her easy.
Thank you for listening to The Jacob Wayne Show. If you would like to contact us, please write us at fakkoshka@gmail.com. That is FAKOSHKA@gmail.com. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Simply search The Jacob Wayne Show and it should pop right up. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. Please write us. It helps add content to the show and makes the show even better for you, the listener. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome